When you think of anime main characters, you think of Goku, Naruto, Ichigo, and of course Luffy. Luffy is one of the most recognizable faces in anime, from his carefree personality to having some of the most iconic anime scenes ever. I can say comfortably, Luffy is of course a part of the anime Mount Rushmore. He's a part of the big three. With me saying all that, Luffy has one problem. He might have multiple, but today I'm only talking about one. A controversy that affects the One Piece fandom, and it could affect Luffy's legacy. I might be dragging it, but I'm talking about Gear 5. When Oda made Gear 5, I don't think he knew what it would do to the One Piece community. Fans arguing day in and day out wondering if Gear 5 ruined One Piece, and if Gear 5 took away the stakes from the series. Well, today, a random nobody like myself will give my take on Gear 5 and if it's ruining One Piece. I feel like some of you guys won't like my answer though. When Gear 5 was initially revealed, the One Piece community was having a field day. With this transformation, the timing for Gear 5 was too perfect when Oda decided to add it to the story. I don't think there's much debating it, but Kaido vs Luffy is one of the best fights in One Piece, period. The back and forth between Luffy and Kaido was unmatched. Luffy's Gear 5 transformation after a hard fought battle with Kaido was hype to a lot of people. Luffy getting back up after being pronounced dead in his new Gear 5 look with Zunisha's narration, it was peak. I remember reading it week from week and I was having the time of my life, freaking out every week. And same thing with the One Piece community, everybody was having a great time. Or majority of people were. You had the little people on Twitter saying stuff, but One Piece community was too hype, I think, in that moment to really care about what other people had to say. But then things start going downhill when Kaido and Luffy fight again while he's in Gear 5. To some people, Gear 5 Luffy versus Kaido was lackluster. The main criticism I see is how the fight before Gear 5 was serious, but after Gear 5, all that seriousness left. Kaido, the strongest creature, was used as a jump rope by Luffy. Yeah, you heard me. The king of all beasts, the dude who was 1v20ing people, that dude thought he was Drake. People thinking he was Madara got used as a jump rope. Luffy thought he was at the playground or something having the time of his life while Kaido was fighting for his life. I remember reading this fight when it first came out, and I was more in shock than anything. Seeing all these new things Luffy could do baffled me. I remember people already having conversation of Luffy is like one of the strongest MCs now because people think he has crazy Toon Force and everything, but that's a conversation for another day. I'm just giving my initial thoughts when I first read it. I think this argument comes down to who you are really. I could see it going either way. I've seen people say what Luffy did versus Kaido was more of a disrespect thing than a silly thing. Luffy styling on Kaido while having fun could be seen as a form of disrespect to people. And I'm one of those people. I don't know if the anime made me biased to that, but seeing Luffy in the anime with Kaido, it was more like disrespect to me than anything else. Speaking about anime, this brings me to the next topic. Gear 5 Luffy versus manga Luffy. And yes, to me there is a difference. This section will have spoilers. If you are not caught up to Egghead, this is your warning right now. I give you a few seconds to leave. In Egghead, Gear 5 disappointed a lot of people. From the eye-popping to the lackluster fight with Kizaru. Let's talk about the eye-popping gag first though. Luffy tends to have a gag where something serious is happening and Oda shows a reaction of Luffy's eyes detaching from his eye sockets. I've seen many of people talk about how this gag is getting old and how it gets rid of the tension in the scenario. The funniest example I could think of is when Vegapunk is bleeding out and Luffy starts freaking out. You see his eyes pop out. I can name another time when Kizaru was manhandling Usopp. And can you guess what Luffy's reaction was? I'll give you guys a second because I know this question will be hard for you. Bingo! His eyes were popped out of his head. Who would have guessed it, you know? This critique is valid to me. I could see why this upsets people and how this could deter people from the story. I personally never really got bothered by it. I just brush by it every time it happens. You guys let me know down below how you feel about the eye-popping gag. I'm curious to see how you feel. Also, don't forget to subscribe. It doesn't matter if you're new or returning. It really takes 2 seconds and I would appreciate it. I have some big projects I have planned for this channel, so I would really appreciate it if you guys left a like, comment, and subscribed. I would really appreciate that. Back to the video. Luffy versus Kizaru. Oh man, this is something I was disappointed in, I'm not gonna lie. I already know the way Oda does fights when it comes to top tiers. We either get a full-fledged fight or he gives us a little taste and the rest of the fight either gets interrupted or off-screened. My mindset going into this fight was Luffy couldn't lose, obviously, but Kizaru couldn't lose either because the Marines still had a lot of stuff on the line and he can't have Luffy embarrass an admiral because they have to be relevant in. But man, the start of this fight was so hyped to me, their clash, and then Luffy went Snake Man, then Luffy goes Gear 5 and the fight kind of declines. Let me explain. Kizaru and Luffy are both trolls, so when Luffy goes Gear 5 the fight feels more like who could troll the hardest. We also have to factor in the mental nerf Kizaru had. This fight felt like a Looney Tunes fight to me. Kaido vs Luffy didn't feel like that because Kaido still was out for blood that whole time fighting Gear 5 Luffy. He was fighting for his life, yeah, but he was still trying to murder Luffy, like he wanted to kill him. When I was reading Luffy vs Kizaru, I felt like I was watching two people being forced to fight, but they didn't want to. The pacing of the fight also felt off to me. I don't know if it's just a me thing. Comment down below if that's just a me thing. But the last thing that I want to talk about with Manga Luffy and its controversy is the whole taking a break mid-fight. Yes, Luffy has been doing this before Gear 5, but it seems so predictable with Gear 5. I know Oda has to nerf Luffy in some way, but damn does it mess up the pacing in One Piece for me. Alright, let's move on to Toei and anime Gear 5 Luffy. I'm just gonna say it, I like Gear 5 way more in the anime than in the manga. I just feel like the transformation complements the anime way more than the manga. Yes, we all know Toei is known for their terrible pacing, but if you can't bypass that, Gear 5 is perfect in the anime. From the sound effects to the visuals, from the amazing animators, Gear 5 was meant for the big screens. The anime to me does a great job of balancing Luffy looking like a demon, and then he has the silly moments. I would go as far to say that the gag moments aren't even that bad in the show. I can't explain it, the anime and manga have a different feel to me when it comes to Luffy and Gear 5. This is the last topic that I want to touch up on, but I want to make a full video into this topic, so I'll touch on it just for a little bit. When Gear 5 came out, people tried to say that Luffy was destined for everything, and they tried to discredit Luffy. Let's not be silly now, guys. Luffy 100% worked for everything he has. Luffy wasn't handed anything. Yes, he might have had some great teachers to take him to the next level. That's still all Luffy though. If you had given anybody else the Gum Gum Fruit, they would have not have made it as far as Luffy, and I'll stand by that. I'm not saying nobody else could be as strong as Luffy, but it's more than just strength in One Piece. Everybody in the One Piece world loves Luffy. He could bring people together. His connections throughout the world are what took Luffy this far. He has enemies like Crocodile helping him in Impel Down. He has a whole grand fleet. We even saw it with Kuma. In Kuma's flashbacks, he knew that Luffy was special, and he tried his best to protect them and his crew and put them in a better position. So yes, technically, I guess you could say Luffy was destined with his fruit, but he still put in all the work. This could be a whole separate video on its own. Everything happens for a reason, and things just don't happen to Luffy. He takes charge and things happen because he takes action. I wish I could talk about that topic more, but I want to make that into a long video. To wrap up this video, I want to talk about how I feel about this whole Luffy controversy. Without dragging this video out, I'll leave you guys with this. I feel like Gear 5 is an interesting transformation, because we haven't seen power like this in One Piece ever. Once we get used to this transformation, I think a lot of people will be a lot more open to it. Also, Oda has to get comfortable with the transformation and how he will use it in the story. Gear 5 is really strong, so we need to find a balance. I don't think it's as controversial as people think it is. I think we are in the growing pains of Gear 5 right now. I can confidently say I have faith in Oda, and Gear 5 will go down as one of the best transformations ever. Let me know how you guys feel down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.